Hey everybody, it's Eric. I'm here in my backyard. Isolation day. Oh, I've lost count. I came back on Sunday. It's now Wednesday the following week. I've got 4 more days to go before I don't have to self-isolate in the basement anymore. And I can go through the whole house and I get the whole house to myself, which is great. April 1st, morning of April 1st, and I thought, what a better way to start the day. Can't think of a better way to start the day after a long sleepless night than to talk about the benefit of getting a decent night's sleep during this crisis. It may not seem like it's that important, that there's other things to deal with right now, but it may be that sleep is our best defense in dealing with what's going on right now. So I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of Kundalini awakening. But really, this is about highly sensitive people, people who are sensitive to stimulus and have trouble filtering out stimulus, and what to do. My perspective comes from, I've always been sort of sensitive, but I went through a Kundalini awakening like 10 years ago, and that changed everything. It changed how much energy I had coming in and how much I had to deal with. It took a long time to figure out actually what was going on with me and what happened that made such a big change. As it turns out, it can be referred to as Kundalini, but it doesn't have to be. It's not really tied to any religion or spiritual study. I mean, it's explained really well by the Vedics, but there's a lot of other people that talk about it. But we're going to use the way the Vedics talk about it to kind of go through it a little bit. So basically, to back up, the body is kind of like a radio antenna. And there's these things called chakras, which are energy vortexes inside of your body. And you see the person meditating and it's got the little points of light all the way through. Those are the chakras. And they represent a bunch of different things. And it's kind of a complicated conversation to go into what that's all about. But if our takeaway from that is that we are energetic beings and that we receive and transmit energy. And so that means that if we're upset, other people can tell. If we feel deep love or affection for somebody, that's also very easy to tell. And it's because we're putting out that vibration, that energy. But in addition to putting out energy, we also receive energy. And what happens with HSPs, or highly sensitive people, also happens with people who've gone through Kundalini awakening, which for the sake of this video we're just going to refer to as highly sensitive people from here forward. For the sake of people who are highly sensitive, they don't generally have the ability to filter out what energy or what input they are receiving. For highly sensitive people, that can manifest in not dealing with lights or loud noises or stressful situations, but it also can happen when things are not emotionally well, where there's what I will refer to as emotional dissonance. I'm borrowing a term from psychology referred to as cognitive dissonance. But the idea is that there's two emotional states. There's one that you're in, and then there's one that everybody else is in around you. And when they're not in harmony with each other, there's dissonance. If you feel things are well, but then you get this huge input of energy telling you things are not well and that people are really freaking out all around you, there's some truth to that. Now, I'm not going to bother trying to explain or trying to prove that this stuff occurs. For me, it's enough that I believe that our bodies are these technological marvels that we're just beginning to understand. And we can use religion to understand them, or philosophy, or spirituality to understand them. But we can also just look at it from an energetic standpoint, like we are antenna, and our body is basically... it's like a battery, or even better put, a capacitor. And the reason I say capacitor is because we have the ability to take in stress and then discharge stress. It's why people really gravitate towards using exercise as a way of relieving stress. It's really useful to do exercise to relieve stress. The problem is that if stress is chronic, doing exercise to relieve stress, that works really well for acute forms of stress, like a bad situation that you need to recover from. But what do you do if the stress is ongoing? Okay, so exercising and maybe getting drunk are really useful for dealing with stress in the short term. Great for discharging that battery or that capacitor quickly, but there's really no resolution as far as what the stress was in the beginning. It's just a way to relieve that stress. But if the stress persists, if that stressor persists, then that method of relieving stress soon will lose its efficacy. So here we are. So soon it'll lose its efficacy, and it will no longer work to help you manage your stress. And so we need other ways to manage stress, ways that are more suitable towards long-term stress, chronic stress, and so exercise and getting drunk or just I don't know, whatever. There are a lot of short-term things that we can do for stress. But for long-term stress, we need sleep. And the reason we need sleep is because when we're asleep, it gives our subconscious mind a chance to sort out all the input that it received during the day. And often the rate at which the subconscious mind and the conscious mind process information is different. And so the conscious mind might process, this thing is happening to me, but it may take a while for the subconscious mind to go, wow, I just lost something really major, to assign meaning. And it's the assigning meaning part that we need that time of sleep to do it, because we can't assign meaning very well if we're stressed out and if we're freaked out. Like that's not a good a time to assign meaning, because it'll establish really bad patterns of thought process, like basically saying, this is a stressful situation, but it's never going to get better. And it's much better to, like, if you feel really freaked out at night, go to bed, lay down, don't resolve it before you go to bed, lay down, stay asleep. Use this, if you can, use this thing called lucid dreaming. And so what that means is that when you wake up in the middle of the night, you don't totally wake up, but you wake up enough to start processing and dealing with some of the emotions that are going on. Also, getting more sleep than usual right now is very healthy. I know a bunch of people who are sleeping like easily 10 hours a night. And what's really cool about sleeping that much is it's a way for us to recharge, build up our like psychic armor, or even just our not psychic armor, our emotional armor. So sleeping is a really fantastic way of recharging this emotional armor, the ability to deal with dynamic, changing situations, and stay emotionally healthy through the process. So let's see. I think I went through everything. HSPs don't have a really good ability to filter out all the information coming in, and there are tons of people suffering right now, and there's tons and tons of like angst and anxiety and freaking out and just sadness, and it keeps coming, and you can't really stop it from coming in. But once you get used to a certain flow of it, then you can prepare yourself to go to the next level. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at. Like, we're just starting to see the beginning of this. But every day, this doubling factor thing is starting to present itself. The numbers are climbing radically right now, and they're going to continue to do so. And it won't take long before we're in 5-digit territory with the number of people who've passed away in the United States, probably by the end of this week. And where we go from there, it's anybody's guess. One last point. Much of what we receive emotionally is raw and is confusing. And so, yeah, that time sleeping is really helpful for sorting that stuff out. And so, just a reminder, if you feel like you're overwhelmed right now, you don't have to fall into any of these categories of Kundalini or a highly sensitive person. If you feel like you're overwhelmed right now, try and get some more sleep. Spend a little more time in bed. Don't be so don't be so eager to wake up right away and go deal with the day. Like, we don't have anywhere to go, so getting a couple extra hours of sleep is really not that bad of a deal. Don't use the sleep as a way to hide from being awake or dealing with stuff, But when it gets a little overwhelming, it's totally fine to just check out for the night, come back and deal with it in the morning when you've had a chance to rest on it. So, like they say, let's sleep on it. And this is Eric with Steel Wheels. Just wishing everybody, I want you all to stay healthy and stay home, please. All right, take care.